people do forget, Al, that Daniel only had 25% of the club. Joe Lewis was the governor at the football club.
Yeah.
When I was there, Joe was wasn't around, never came to get. I think he's been to about 10 games in 20 years or however long he's been involved with the club. He doesn't come to the games, or maybe once a year or every 2 years he'll come over and watch a match. But he had the running of it. Daniel didn't have as many shares, as much say in the club as Joe did. Yeah. So Joe would have the final say. Whether Daniel spent the money or didn't. I think he always had to speak with Joe to get the final word on everything. And if Joe didn't want to buy or spend big money in the transfer market or whatever, then Daniel wasn't able to do that. So he took the brunt of all the criticism for sure, but it wasn't always, the decisions always weren't down to Daniel. And Daniel was, people have to give him a bit of credit what he's achieved there in that respect. Okay, the trophies hadn't come. Maybe I was, all us managers, maybe we did have the tools maybe to have done a bit better and maybe win a cup somewhere along the line, more trophies. And people forget they have had Champions League. They've had a Champions League final. They've had Champions League football quite regularly in the last 15 years or so. So, it hasn't been all doom and gloom, No. And as I say, that stadium, when you go there, it's just mind-blowing. So, listen, I never had a problem with Daniel. I found him good to... I couldn't sit here and I don't have any relationship with him or speak to him, not that I don't want to speak to him, but I just, I live my life. I had no problems with him at all. I found him very good to work for. He wasn't at the training ground every day. He wasn't poking his nose in as to who should play and who shouldn't play. He was, I found him very, very good and helpful to work with. And my relationship with him when I was there was very good. I honestly think, but in the background, I think Joe would be pulling a lot of the strings. That was how I always felt.